Hur'in, and these are female type beings in Islamic mythology. They're often associated with the 72 virgins referenced in the hadiths who await the devout Muslims in paradise. Now there are numerous references in the Quran describing them as purified wives and spotless virgins. Some however say that it is a mistranslation of angels, or even metaphoric for the rewards one will receive in paradise rather than being literal beings. At number 9 we have the Daabba. So the Daabba is referred to as the beast in the Bible, but in Islam it's generally taught that this is a creature that will appear during the end times and is one of the major signs of the day of resurrection. The role of the Daabba will be to distinguish the believers from the non-believers, and this beast will light up the faces of believers, and with a ring he will stamp and darken the faces of disbelievers. Buraq comes in at number 8, and the word Buraq translates to lightning or bright, and this is a creature in Islamic tradition that was said to serve as the transport for certain prophets. So the hadith says that the Buraq carried the Islamic prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Jerusalem and up to the heavens and back by nighttime. At number 7 we have the Karin. So the Karin is classified as a jinn type creature, although usually not actually a jinn, but Muslims believe that Allah has made them accompany every single human being, and the Karin pushes a person to do evil things and to disobey Allah. So they have a pretty bad influence on people. Moving on to number 6 we have the Kiraman Katibin. Kiraman Katibin translates to honorable scribe, and these are two angels called Rakib and Atib that sit on the human shoulders, one on the right side, one on the left, and they literally write every single thing that we do. Good deeds and bad deeds, everything, you name it, they write it down. And on the day of judgment they will present to God every single thing that they recorded a person doing. We've reached number 5, halfway in. We have the Sheikh. Now the Sheikh is a lower form of jinn, and it's a half creature, or literally only half formed, and so they look very odd. They apparently go after unsuspecting travelers, and the Sheikh is also able to mate with humans, and if they do that, that offspring is known as a Nasnas, which looks very similar to a Sheikh, and I do not ever think I want to see one of those. Not even I think, I know I never want to see one of those. Next up we got angels. So in Islam, angels are real created beings, but they're generally not able to be seen or heard by human beings, and they are not divine or semi-divine. They're not God's associates that manage different regions of the universe. Also, they're not to be worshipped or prayed to. All angels submit to God and carry out his commands without question. Now Jibril, or angel Gabriel, is the greatest angel, and he's said to have 600 wings that cover the sky. His height stretches from heaven to earth, and he can move faster than the speed of light, as all angels can do. Oh, Ghouls come in at number 3. So Ghouls are a demon or monster that feed on human flesh. Ugh. You can find these living in tunnels underneath graveyards, and according to the hadith, an effective method of banishing ghouls is to actually recite lines from the Quran. These guys are vicious, they're just evil and nasty creatures. And number 2 brings us the Ifrit. And Ifrit is a powerful type of demon, and they are only mentioned once in the Quran. In Islamic scriptures, the term Ifrit is always followed by the expression of the jinn. So the Ifrit are a strong and cunning class of jinn, and they emerge as smoke from the ground and form into large winged demon creatures that bleed fire. They're from the underworld, which is a place of punishment for evildoers. And at number 1 we have Iblis. So Iblis in Islam is a personal name of the devil, which is the counterpart of the Jewish and Christian Satan. At the time of creating human beings, God ordered all the angels to bow down in obedience before Adam, the first man created. Now Iblis refused to do this, claiming that he was a much better being since he was created of fire and humans were made from clay. So for acting so prideful and disobeying God's command, God threw Iblis out of heaven, and his punishment, however, was postponed until the day of judgment. Iblis, who became the ruler of the jinn, who are also referred to as shaitan, tempt people to do evil things. Starting at number 10, we have the Marid. The Marid are considered the most powerful tribe of jinn, and the word Marid means rebellious. They're the classic type of genies like you would see in movies like Aladdin, and they're often associated with water. Marid can change their shape, and they're said to have a lot of pride and want to show off a lot. Usually depicted with hands folded with a barrel chest. Number 9 brings us Ifrit. Now they're only mentioned in the Quran just one time. In Islam, the term Ifrit is always followed by the expression of the jinn. The Ifrit of the jinn. That's how usually sentences are written. They are very powerful and they emerge out of smoke from the ground and they form into large winged demon creatures, and they actually bleed fire. And they're from the underworld, which is where the evildoers are gonna go for their punishment. We have ghouls at number 8, and these are jinn that haunt the cemeteries. They're flesh-eating creatures and they like to eat living flesh as well as dead flesh. They don't care. Sometimes though, they appear as beautiful women to lure men. Moving on to number 7, we have the Silat. So these also take on the form of beautiful women to lure men, and they also have intercourse with them and can procreate with them. These are akin to the succubus, but the Silat aren't always around doing evil things. Sometimes they do a bit of good as well. Number 6 brings us the Sheik. So the Sheik is a lower form of jinn and also a half creature, really half formed creature. They look very weird, and it's said that they go after travelers who just aren't paying attention. And the scary thing is that the Sheik are able to procreate also with human beings, and they can produce offspring, and these offspring are called Nas, and they also look a lot like the Sheik. Next up, we have the Hatif. So Hatif is a type of jinn. They have no physical form, they're just disembodied voices, and the Hatif mimic the voices of people's loved ones and call out their names. And again, they have no form, but they always sound like somebody that you know, whether it's a close friend or family member, somebody that you're related to. So if you do hear your name being called out and it sounds like somebody that you know but you don't see anybody, it could be a Hatif. So I'm looking at the Qareen next up, and the Qareen, they incite humans with evil suggestions, but they can become good also based on the good deeds of humans. So for example, it's said that the Qareen of the Prophet Muhammad became Muslim. However, it is uncertain and is not really specified whether or not any other Qareen outside of the Prophet Muhammad have become good for the actions of another human being. Next up is Jinn. So scholars debate this, whether or not the Jinn are a subclass of jinn or a completely separate group altogether who rival the jinn. But the jinn and the Jinn, they're said to have waged war against one another, and according to some accounts, the Jinn supported the angels led by Iblis during a battle against the jinn that lived on the earth. Jinn are also created out of fire just like the jinn. I'm looking at the Jann now at number 2, and the Jann are shapeshifters who live in the desert, and they take the forms of whirlwinds as well as white camels. Now they're pretty open-minded when it comes to humans. They have the power to hide or reveal bodies of water in the desert, and this is all just dependent on whether or not they like a particular traveler. The Jann are also the enemy of the Ghoul, and throughout history the Jann have protected quite a bit of armies that they have deemed righteous while stopping those who are seen to be unworthy. So history is greatly affected of whether or not the Jann step in like this. And at number 1, we have the Palis. So the Palis is just straight up creepy. They are vampiric footlickers that are found in the desert. And according to the legends, they are not that smart though. They attack people when they're sleeping, and they drain their blood by licking the bottom of their feet. And since they're not very smart, you can easily fool them just by covering the bottoms of your feet, and they're gonna be like, I have no idea what to do.